Okay, I am working on my Mazda Tribute. It's a 2002 model, and I'm going to be trying out this product here just to see how it goes. And I'm actually going to leave this stuff in here for quite a bit, until the next oil change at least. So I'm going to test this out and drive it, and then I'm going to do a follow-up here on this video. But just to explain what I've got going on, had some leaks with these 3.0 Duratec engines. They're prone to leak, and you have an exhaust that runs underneath of this engine down in here. And at first, what I started with, I replaced my valve covers. Still had a leak. I went ahead and fixed the leak by fixing the oil pan gasket under here, and my shroud is missing so I can see what's going on. And then I also got up here and I replaced this seal for the crank seal. You can see that that is new right there as well. But as you can see, we still have oil dripping right down here and finding its way onto the exhaust. And I've even cleaned this off as well. But as it turns out, what's going on with this engine is the failure of the seals that they have on this front cover. They're just not really good. The silicone they used is not real good, doesn't hold up. Maybe if they had used the silicone on the whole thing, it would have been better. And to top it off, we also have the bed plate. And the bed plate is the lower portion of this engine here. I don't know if I can even give you a visual, but you can see the part directly above where the oil pan is here. That is going to be your bed plate, and that attaches to the engine block. Well, it also leaks right there. So it's really not economical to have this. The front cover would be a job in itself. This bed plate, a really big job. You're just short of rebuilding your engine there, having to tear all that off to fix all of that and reseal it. But it is a nuisance. It drips down onto the exhaust, creates smoke, and without doing all that work, there's just no stopping. And you're talking about thousands of dollars to have that work done if you don't do it yourself, and a tremendous amount of work. So anyways, we're going to be using this Lucas engine stop leak, and I'm a quart low. This is a quart. I'm going to add every bit of this right in here, and I've also set this out in the sun for a little bit to kind of facilitate pouring this, because it's going to be really thick. And so we're just going to try to dump it directly in here. May get a funnel over here. Okay, and we've got us a funnel here. We're just going to go ahead and pour. And you can see this has been sitting in the sun. It's still pretty thick. You can see the consistency of this stuff. I mean, it's like molasses. And said I don't know how this is going to work. Not tried it before. Usually, if I find a leak, I will fix it, but in the case of this engine, it's just not economical to go through and fix all this stuff. I mean, and just about without replacing the engine, a lot of this is just not worth it. It's not leaking so severely that it's losing a lot of oil. It's just more of a nuisance than anything, because it happens to be right over the exhaust. So you can see this is very thick stuff. This is 100% petroleum. There's no special products or anything in this, but I would assume that this would be the equivalent of using a heavier weight oil. You know, if you could use a 1030, a 1040, you know, this calls for a 530, but just using a heavier weight, you're going to see some benefits. I've also heard that maybe the synthetics are a little bit better at preventing leaks. So we're just going to dump this whole thing in here, and the next time that I follow up will be probably several months down the road with this, because I'm going to drive it, like I said, until the next oil change. So I'm going to put probably 3,000 to 5,000 miles on this before I come back and deal with it again. So we will follow up here and see what this does. Okay, this is a follow-up using this Lucas oil. You can see that we still have a little bit of drippage here, but I've put about 1,500 miles on this since putting this additive in here, and it's really, I'm not having as much of the burning and the smoking. So even though it hasn't just stopped the leaks entirely, it's slowed it down some, and it's been driven quite a bit, and through, you know, various mountains and everything else, and it's had a lot of load put on it and everything. So I would assume that if it was going to do a lot of dripping, it would have been doing it, and it was worse than it is now. But I said, so it has had some success, but it hasn't, you know, stopped it entirely, but it is helping out a little bit. So you know, so it does do its job to a certain extent as far as slowing it down. Okay, so that's going to do it for the review on this Lucas oil. I've used 5W30 in this particular oil change. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the 10W30 and use this Lucas oil additive and just see if I have any more success with that, because with this engine, it's got a lot of miles on it anyway. Some 10W30 is not going to hurt it any. So anyways, that's going to conclude this video, and I thank y'all for watching.